friends watching this. I am with Mr. Pavan Munda. We've been working together for a long time. I want, because he works in the rural areas, I want him to share his experiences. Based on his experiences, how this bill will really plan out. Pavan, what do you think this bill means for the deaf and hearing impaired?
Given my long experience working with different kind of disabilities, people with hearing impairment, I believe strongly, and I was also told by my friends in the village, that recognition of sign language as a main language, as per the Article 2, as main language of this country, which is found in Article 2 of CRPD, that doesn't find any place in the new bill. It is a great loss to the deaf community.
Yeah. Do you think that, so elsewhere in the bill, they do talk about communication, and they say there are sections which say that the person's language, the person can, with a disability, can communicate in the language that they want. So do you feel that there is any basis to imply that sign language is one of those languages?
Certainly, sign language is one of those very important languages. Unless the sign language is recognized by the state and make the sign language available to every other citizen, understand it and train oneself into the sign language communication, it becomes difficult for deaf community to communicate with the fellow citizens. In that case, I demand, and I also on behalf of the deaf community, want the state, request the state to take such position to recognize sign language as a national language and make sure that that language is taught in every class. Unfortunately, this bill, that is RPD Bill 2013, doesn't give any scope for such recognition to sign language in the bill.
Pavan, do you think that there are other issues with like what is your experience with the concept of deaf culture?
Yes, deaf culture is one of the important areas, and thanks for asking the critical question to me. And deaf culture is something they have been associated. Deaf community has been associated for hundreds of years in this country and across the world. And deaf culture means it's not just about communication in sign language, it's about sharing of their values, it's about sharing of their participation in various political and non-political and cultural activities, and it has its unique, and the deaf culture has a unique way of expressing oneself. That deaf culture is very, very important for deaf communities and which must be recognized, and it is very well articulated in CRPD. I think it is Article 30, and as per Article 30, every government must respect the deaf culture and make such arrangements to take forward and protect the deaf culture with all its integrity. And this, if it comes to the question of this bill, that is 2013 or 2014 RPD bill, doesn't recognize deaf culture as one of the cultures of this country. This is sad on the deaf. This is really sad, and it is real discrimination on the people who are part of the deaf culture at large in this country.
Now, if I'm not wrong, under the 95 Act, rather let me ask you, was there a reservation for persons who are hearing impaired?
Yes, definitely. There was an article which talks about reservation for persons with disabilities, that is, in employment particularly, and in education also. There is something called 3% reservation. In 3% reservation, how it is realized is that in employment, if one job opportunity is given to blind people, the next opportunity should be given to deaf communities, and third opportunity should be given to people with physical disabilities. So accordingly, a big roster system is also being deployed by the government of India, and they follow the roster system both for central and state governments. Yes, definitely there is a reservation provision in the case of employment.
Now, there was a recent RTI application in which it was revealed that only 0.21% of these vacancies of 3% in total were actually occupied. You worked in the field, so can you pinpoint any reason why you think that happened?
See, this is simply because of nepotism that is involved and the corruption that has been involved, the corruption that is there in the government sector, and also the kind of negligence and disrespect for the disability community. Many of these backlog positions are lying waste, and of course, even if there are these backlog positions filled in some parts, I think the position that is articulated, the law that articulated in 95% Disability Act, of all these jobs, 1% of jobs should go to people with hearing impairment. But that is never got implemented precisely because of the corruption and the very lethargy that is internal to the government system. And the third reason is they need big money, and in fact they have total disrespect for deaf community because they cannot communicate with them, and they speak to each of them in sign language. So that could be one of the reasons. But the other reasons are that they don't want deaf people working in their offices, and they don't want people with disabilities working in the offices, government offices.
So I have a related question. That do you sorry, this one. RPW communication sign language. What is sign? Is only given sign. Yeah. Come to the language. Sign is there, so it's signs. But the problem is that because it's signs, you know, something on a wall is also a sign. Right? Communication by signs. So persons with low vision, for example, or even for hearing impaired, sometimes they believe that if you put up signage, that will solve your problem. Communication. No, we want expecting communication. In communication, yeah. Spoken language, non-spoken language, and sign language. Sign language has mentioned, I think, in it says that there are persons who are from the Institute of Sign Language who should be members of some committee. Right? And with regard to sign language, under section 15 and 16, so with regard to education, there are two categories of children. One category comes under section 15 and 16, and one category comes under section 30. I've explained this earlier. Children with more than 40% disability come under section 30. Children with benchmark disabilities can be sent to neighborhood schools or special schools if necessary. It is the state that decides whether it's necessary.
Choice.
So the choice is not with the parent.
Not even with the children.
Not even with the children. Now section 15 and 16 say that that local authority shall endeavor that all educational institutions provide reasonable accommodation. But this is for students who are below 40% of disability. Section 16 says that measures shall be taken to train and employ teachers who are qualified in sign language and braille. Section 16 also says to promote the use of sign language to supplement the use of one's own speech to fulfill daily communication needs of persons with speech, communication, or language disabilities. It is not a language disability because sign language is a language. It cannot be to supplement your own speech. True empowerment is that you can speak in sign language and be heard and understood. So section 16F, by using the word supplement the use of one's own speech, it's not clear about what that means. Are you saying that person's, sorry, yeah, that's what it's not clear as to what it means. Whose speech, whether a person who communicates in sign language, can it be considered to be a speech, communication, or language disability? I live in Chennai. I don't speak Tamil. It's not a disability. Is that okay?
Yes.
Sure.
No, but still the question is, what kind of recognition that you are looking at in terms of sign language? Because for me, sign language is something
One
very...
second. He's writing. So you're saying something, because Hari was signing, can you recognize sign language? Yeah, you were just saying something, right?
I was saying that, yep, see, what do we mean by recognizing sign language in law for people with people from deaf communities? So for me, sign language is something that gives me recognition. Sign language is part of my culture, and sign language is my right. Okay, and that means I associate completely, heartfully with the language that I speak, without which my existence is challenged. Okay, that's, see, by recognizing sign language as part of languages, government is empowering people who belong to deaf communities. But the way it is articulated in the law, okay, something as supplement to speech, and
that speech is
and that means speech is prior to this language. Okay, and secondly, if there is a language disability, then sign language is substitute. See, the status that is given to sign language in law as substitute to something means deaf community is being substituted by, and their heart and their language, their life is substituted by something else. Okay, but for me, deaf culture, deaf people and their language are together, and they belong to one community, that is community with deaf culture. Okay, that is the ideology with which deaf community across the world are demanding the governments following the CRPD to recognize deaf language as part of national languages. And we don't see such intense article in any part of the this one 2013 RPD bill.
And section 16F, as I just read out to you, is very ambiguous as to whether, because of the use of supplementing one's speech, it's not very clear as to what it means. Also associating something called language disabilities. Again, it's limiting language to what is spoken, whereas language is not just what is spoken. And that has to be recognized under the law.
And it is also total disrespect to the CRPD article, which was brought into CRPD by the deaf community all over the world. When they added it as part of languages in definitions, the UN CRPD committee and the members who are participated in drafting that CRPD are very much aware of the fact that unless you recognize deaf language as part of recognition of languages by the governments, the respect that you give to deaf communities and deaf cultures cannot be achieved.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we understood what is UNCRPD. We don't know what the bill was passed from the cabinet. Now we would like to come to the sign language, very important, as well as deaf culture. With diluted rights, I don't understand. We are losing our lives. So let us go to this UNCRPD. Thank you. Thank you, Amba, and thank you, Father.
Thank you very much.